late when he was born. How's Charlie limping around? Pretty good?
He's doing pretty good now. You behaved tonight.
Never.
Welcome, everyone. Before we begin, we will have a prayer by Councilman Kemna, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening and ask for your wisdom and guidance for the decisions we have before us. We also ask that you continue to lead this council and this city in future decisions that we have yet to face. We ask for your protection for all those that serve and protect this city as well as our country. We ask for healing and comfort for all those facing difficult times and hardships during this time. Thank you for all that you do in our lives and for giving us the opportunity to serve you in the city. We ask all this in your name.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. I'll call to order the Monday, March 2nd, 2020 City Council meeting. Mrs. Donaldson, roll call, please.
Fitzwater. Graham.
Here.
Hensley.
Present.
Hussey. Kimna. Here. Mahalovich.
Here.
Prather.
Here.
Schreiber.
Present.
Ward.
Here.
Wiseman.
Present.
Item 3, is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Before we have item 4, I wanted to recognize this evening we have several scouts in attendance tonight. We always enjoy having them here. So we would like to invite you all to come to the podium and tell us what school you're from, and you can tell us a little bit about maybe what badge or what project you're working on. So you're all welcome to come up together if you'd like. Welcome, everyone. We're glad to have you here. Perfect. So you're welcome to give us your name into the microphone and tell us what school you're from.
My name is Aiden Strumpf, and I go to Lewis and Clark Middle School, and I'm working on citizenship in the community.
Great. Welcome.
My name's TJ Klein, and I go to school at CTHS, and I'm working for citizenship in the community.
Welcome.
My name's Aiden Jenkins. I'm from South Cal. Oh my gosh. My name's Aiden Jenkins. I go to South Callaway, and I'm working on citizenship in the community.
Great.
My name's Joseph Swift, and I go to Callaway Hills. I'm working on citizen communication.
Great.
My name is Justin Isaacs. I go to Thomas Jefferson Middle School, and I'm working on citizenship in the community.
Great. Well, welcome. We're all really happy to have you here, and we hope that you get to learn a lot tonight from our council meeting, and we welcome you back anytime. Item 4, miscellaneous agenda items. We will start with the presentation of the J.C. Reed's Day Proclamation, and we have some representatives here in the audience, and they have their great hashtag J.C. Reed shirts, so you're welcome to come on up to the podium and introduce yourselves this evening. We're happy to have you all here.
Thanks for having us. I'm Marcia Burton. I'm the librarian at Thomas Jefferson Middle School.
Welcome.
I'm Melanie Thompson. I'm the librarian at Thorpe Gordon Elementary.
Welcome.
I'm Julie Schaefer. I'm a curriculum coordinator for the district.
Great. Well, we're so happy to have you all here as we kick off the J.C. Reed's week, and I would like to start by sharing the special proclamation. And it reads, whereas Jefferson City School District J.C. Schools libraries recognize that reading is a key part of learning and future successes in academics, in preparation for jobs of the future, and in the ability to compete and contribute as informed citizens regardless of the socioeconomic status, race, ethnic background, or educational level of the student and the student's family. And whereas J.C. Schools libraries recognize the role of parents, families, and community members play in helping students sustain a love for reading throughout life by implementing J.C. Reads Week annually, and this year's theme of Reading Changes Lives and Communities. And whereas the state of Missouri has set apart and designated the second Friday in March each year as Missouri School Read-In Day, And whereas J.C. Schools Libraries has designated 9:30 a.m. on March 13th, 2020 as a 20-minute drop everything and read across the community, now therefore I, Carrie Turgeon, Mayor of the City of Jefferson, do hereby proclaim March 13th as J.C. Reads Day and encourage all citizens to celebrate and enjoy reading by signing this proclamation on March 1st. So I hope that everybody drops everything and reads. So tell us a little bit about what you have coming up.
Many of our schools will have guest readers. We have an author visit, an author coming and talking to several of the schools. A lot of the schools have planned special spirit days. Anything I'm leaving out?
Maybe if your business does, we can tweet to hashtag this.
Yes, if anybody in the community wants to tweet to JC Reads on that day, pictures of yourself dropping everything and reading, then we would love that.
Great. We will make that happen. And we'll start by getting our first picture that we'll tweet out and hashtag it now. So we'll invite you to come forward and we'll get a picture with council. But I will announce that on that Wednesday, the 11th of that week, that the First Lady, Teresa Parson, will be reading and has invited me to come along like we did last year at some of the schools. And that same morning on March 11th, Wednesday, they're having a ribbon cutting or a dedication for the free little library at East School Library at 8 a.m. So if anybody is interested in attending, and I'm sure other council members will also be reading here over the next couple of weeks.
That's great. I did also want to mention our committee wrote a grant, and we received $25,000 to share books in the community. So several of our area shelters each got $1,000 of books, and our schools also got some.
Wow.
Boys and Girls Club got $2,000 of books to add to their collection. So.
Well, congratulations. Keep up the great work. All right, we'll get a picture and share it.
I don't know.
All right, the next item B, we have Dr. Joy Sweeney with Council of Drug-Free Youth to provide an update on substance use, behavior, and mental health in the community. Welcome, Dr. Sweeney.
Hi, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you, members of the City Council, for allowing me to do this brief presentation. Hopefully, this can be something that we continue either annually or every other year. Updated information from 2018, I wanted to make sure that we had a baseline of where our community is, where the youth in our community is, and some of the things that we've accomplished over the past 4 years. First of all, the vision, which I'm sure everybody in the City Council could recognize, is a healthy, vibrant, drug-free community. And our mission is to motivate, educate, and collaborate to promote drug-free lifestyles among youth in mid-Missouri. And basically what I'm going to present here is some of the data regarding underage drinking, marijuana, opioids, tobacco, and vaping in our community. And some of the data that we've just received, actually this is 2018 data, that we will get new data 2020, but in 2018, youth in mid-Missouri, 53.3% of Cole County youth believe that it would be easy to get alcohol, which is not sounding very good, but it's down from 65% in 2016. So that number has gone down. We have done some initiatives in conjunction with Jefferson City Police Department, compliance checks that have reduced that. The first year that we did the compliance checks in 2014 with the police department, 66% of our local retailers were selling to minors. The last time we did the compliance checks, just last year in 2019, only 25%. It's still 1 in 4 retailers sold to a minor. That's not what we like to see, but it's a heck of a lot better than 66%. So basically, prevention efforts do work in our community, and we're really proud of that. And working together, here's some information that we're sharing in media campaign. Marijuana use among Missouri youth continues to be a problem and of interest. The average age of first use is up to 14.3, which is good news. It was 13.9 in 2014. And you think, okay, 4 years, it only went up 4 months. But every month that it's going up, with the advent of publicity of this substance in our society, is amazing. So to have it rise is a great thing. We hope that we can get it so that it will go up to 21. That would be great. But right now, we'll take 1 month at a time. And so that is the shifts in legalization and all of the other changes that kids are getting conflicting messages. We're thrilled that this is trending in the positive direction for our community. Some ads that we've been running. Tobacco, vaping, e-cigarettes, this is a huge problem. This is the one that is not going in the right direction for our community. In 2016, which is the first year that we did the survey among youth in Missouri, 10.8% of young people had used in the last 30 days. That is now up to 17.9 in 2018, and I don't know what it is in 2020. We'll find out those numbers very soon. But it is alarming. It's almost doubled in 2 years, and that's something that we are trying to address. We've got the Mega Lung. We've got all kinds of other programming that we're doing specifically to target vaping and educate youth about how harmful it can be. The really alarming facts are down at the bottom. It's kind of small to read, but in 2018, 5.8% of youth thought that it would be not cool to smoke cigarettes. However, 18.5% of our kids, 1 in 5 basically, think it's cool if someone their age vapes or uses an e-cigarette. That factor is alarming because obviously it's now becoming the next cool thing to do. It's almost approaching the cool factor of drinking. Prescription drugs, opioids, that increased 10% in those 2 years. Caveat to that point, in 2016 it was almost zero, it was slightly above zero. So it's now at 10%, but it's still an alarming trend, and it's something that we need to do something about. To that end, here's some of the ad campaign that we are running. There are 4 drug disposal kiosks that have emerged in the last 2 years in Jefferson City. And that is not something that you can find on the Jefferson City website. And so I've been in contact with the admin team, and we're going to change that. These are the 4 locations: Walgreens, Cap Region Pharmacy, Roberts Drugs, and Hy-Vee just added one in December. So people have unused, unwanted medicines. They don't have to wait for the April or the October drug take-back. And then basically, what are we doing? We're doing things, everything from safety kids for kindergartners, all these different activities throughout the community, up to our Second Chance Change. And recently, in 2019, we added a first-time offender city court education campaign. And what we're trying to do is empower youth to live drug-free, save lives, and change futures. And I appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to share this information with you. Hopefully you'll let me come back and share updated information, updated numbers next year. And hopefully we'll have some more good news and not any more bad news. Anyway, thank you again for your time. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Thank you, Dr. Sweeney, for the update, because I know we're looking at just numbers, but those numbers are lives. Those numbers are our youth. It's the future. So I think that definitely is important to our city, and you are doing important work. Does council have any questions?
Anybody have any questions? I appreciate your time, and like I said, I tried to make it brief and get through everything quickly. They do have a copy of the PowerPoint. Anybody can get a hold of me. I think I've left information at everybody's desk, so that please feel free to reach out anytime I can be of assistance. Be more than happy to do that for you.
And
thanks
you
again
for sharing the drug take-back. We'll make sure that we get those that information on our website so people can access those locations. So.
And then we do have another event that I'd like to invite you all to on April the 7th. We are going to recognize all the drug-free seniors, students of the month, at the Capitol Plaza Hotel at 6 p.m. I would like to invite every single one of you to attend. Hopefully our esteemed mayor is going to be passing out the scholarship recipient awards at the end of that, and it usually is a quick hour and a half presentation, so we should be done by 7:30 if you've got someplace else you want to be that night. But it's really, it would mean a lot to recognize these students that have worked for their entire high school and elementary school and middle school career to make good choices and live life healthy and drug-free. So
Wonderful.
thank you
Thank
again,
you.
and we look forward to seeing you.
All right, and we'll do a quick picture that you can share that shows that our council is behind your efforts to keep our youth drug-free.
Awesome, I love that. Hey, you guys want to come up? We've got a few kiddos.
Yes, you're welcome to introduce your the rest of everybody
the
that's
people,
here too.
you guys want to stand up? Kanisha? Actually, Kanisha is a VISTA. She's a volunteer in Service to America that's serving an entire year, donating her time to the Council for Drug-Free Youth. And so is Leanna. She's a volunteer in Service to America, serving a year in service to the Council for Drug-Free Youth. And then Judy Brooks has been with the Council for Drug-Free Youth for the last 30 years. She started with the Council for Drug-Free Youth.
Item 5, we have no public hearings tonight, and item 6, no appointments. 7, no presentations. Item 8, announcements. We have our council committee meetings at jeffersoncitymmo.gov, along with our meeting calendar. Are there any council announcements of upcoming committee meetings or updates on any? Councilwoman Weisman?
Thanks. We will not have the administration meeting this week. It was continued until next month.
Thank you. Any other committee reports or announcements? Mr. Marash?
Since Ken isn't here, I'll just mention that the Public Works and Planning Committee meeting would be not this Thursday, but the following.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I will make my announcements. First of all, I wanted to recognize that the anniversary of the commissioning of the USS Jefferson City submarine occurred on Leap Day on February 29th. So that happened back in 1992, and Commissioner Sam Bushman gave me this brochure that was actually, he attended the commissioning, and it's actually kind of interesting here to see, they have a picture of the commissioning committee right here in council chambers where we're sitting, and they have Mayor Louise Gardner and some others that you might recognize some of these faces. So I will be sure to take pictures of all the pages and share this booklet on social media for the public that wants to see it, but then I'll keep this book in the mayor's office so the public can enjoy it, and then eventually we'll put it in our case out here too. But wanted to share, yeah, pass it around. It's very interesting. There's a few loose pages in there, but in the back it has same chairs. Yeah, some of that's the same, but but it's really cool. I know that we do a lot to support the USS Jefferson City, and it was neat to be able to celebrate its birthday over the weekend. And with that, I will turn it over. Does council have any other announcements at this moment? I'll turn it over to item B. Katrina Williams has a census update. Welcome.
Thank you. All right, so I'm just going to give you a quick update on where we're at with our census preparations for the 2020 census that's coming up this month and next month. So I've been tasked with acting as the 2020 census liaison and helping the city prepare for the upcoming census. We formed a Cole County Jefferson City Complete Count Committee. We've held 3 or 4 meetings. I think we've held 4 meetings now, and I think we're doing well. There's always room for more participation if anybody would like to participate in the meeting. Our next meeting is going to be March 11th from 10:30 to noon in the room across the hall over there if anybody would like to participate. So the census is conducted every 10 years, and it's mandated by the U.S. Constitution. It's very important for services and programs including clinics, schools, roads, emergency management, and job training, just to name a few. It's critical for determining how seats in Congress are designated and distributed. And this month, the Census Bureau is going to start distributing those forms and those reminders for the census. A little note on how you're going to receive invitations to participate in the census. Only 20% of the nation is going to receive a paper form for the census. Everyone else receives a postcard in the mail, and they'll keep sending you a postcard over and over and over again until you take the census, because it is required. This time around, it's the first time we're able to respond online or by phone or by mail, so those postcards are going to direct you to use online or by phone. So it's really important that you participate. So as part of our Complete Count Committee, we have a group of people. We're up to about 17, 18, 19 people right now, and representing about 19 different agencies that are participating. Those include Cole County, Jefferson City, St. Martin's, Cap Region Medical Center, Lincoln University, Jefferson City Public Schools, Missouri Faith Voices, Missouri River Regional Library, and a handful of other entities in our region and in our area. We have 2 main goals with our Complete Count Committee, and that's to increase the accuracy of the 2020 census, and that's through doing focused education and outreach in our community, especially at those undercounted areas or hard-to-count areas. And then we want to raise awareness about temporary employment for the census. So right now, they're still hiring. It's $17 an hour in Cole County. They're hiring all across the nation, but here in Cole County, we still need several more people. I think we're around 70 to 75 more people that we need to hire in our community. And there are other places around the state where they need even more. I think I already reminded you about our next meeting. That's going to be across the hall, March 11th at 10:30 a.m. And we have some hiring events that I wanted to direct you all to. So we have hiring events on March 4th, March 21st, and March 26th. So we have a lot coming up. On March 4th, at 2 different locations, at the Scruggs Student Center and the Link in room 201, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can show up there and ask questions. There will be recruitment assistants on hand to answer any questions that people might have and to help them actually apply at those locations. On March 21st, from 11 to 3, they're going to have another recruiting event, and that's going to be at the library. On March 26th, they're going to have another recruitment event from 9 to 2 at the News Tribune Job Fair out at the mall. And I wanted to add, before I close out here, a little note on security, because that's something that the Census Bureau really wants us to push, and it's really important that people understand the security issues around the census. So your census information is protected. It's not released for 72 years. Those census employees take an oath to not disclose your information. But we wanted the public to be aware of potential scams. So please be aware that there may be scams during the census, both online and in person. It's important to know that the Census Bureau will not send unsolicited emails to request your participation in the 2020 census. It's important to know that they will never ask for your Social Security number. They'll never ask for your bank account or credit card numbers. They'll never ask for money or donations. And in addition, the Census Bureau will not contact you on behalf of a political party. If someone visits your home to collect a response for the census, you can do the following to verify their identity. First, check to make sure that they have a valid ID badge with their photograph, a U.S. Department of Commerce watermark, and an expiration date. If you still have questions about their identity, you can call a toll-free number, 800-923-8282, to speak to a local census representative. If you suspect fraud, you can call that same number, 800-923-8282, to speak with a Census Bureau representative here in the local community. And if it's determined that that visitor who came to your door does not work for the census, you should contact your local police department. If you need more information about the census coming up, you can go to 2020census.gov, or you can go to our Cole County Complete Count Committee website, and that's at colecounty.org/2020census. If you want to join the committee, you can contact me here at the city, or you can email me at 2020completecount@colecounty.org. And I did want to add that the invitations to participate are going to be coming out probably in the next week. And in Missouri, you can respond as early as March 12th. I think I covered everything.
That is a lot of information.
It
but
is a lot.
It's very important information, and it's important that we're all aware and we're all counted. So thank you, Katrina. And does council have any questions? So certainly if you do, please reach out to Katrina, and also if you need a presentation made to some of the groups. I know the chamber has had at the chamber coffee, I believe, coming up is the presentation, also at Cole County Communities. So we're out in the community as much as possible to get the word out and keep that going. So, all right, great presentation. Thank you for the information. All right, item C, we have the statewide tornado drill. We have Sierra Thomas with us, who is our new emergency management coordinator that we had here last month to welcome, and we'll just put you right to work because tomorrow is the big statewide drill. So tell us about it. Welcome.
Thanks. So basically, it's annual, and it's super important to us now because we had to face this last year. But it happens every year. So if we can go ahead and run our plans that we have for our house and our businesses tomorrow along with tests, that would be smart. That way we know how to react in the event that it's no longer a test and it's actual and it's real. In addition to that, we will also have a booth March 14th at the Midmo Expo at the Capitol Mall. We push in Smart 911 as well as other preparedness materials. March 16th, we have our Storm Spotter class at the Eagles on the Boulevard. That's from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., free to the public, plenty of parking. And then, let me see what else I have here. Aries and our ham guys will be doing a call-in via repeater 147, which is the one at St. Mary's. I'll be doing that tomorrow as well, just to test that out. And I guess one more thing. I spoke to the commission via email earlier and request for a buy-in. I want to do a first annual Flood Fight Expo for Central Missouri because we're going to get flooded again. How bad, or I guess I don't want to touch too much on that, all pure speculation, but we're going to hit flood again. So we need to be prepared for it. And I think if we can go ahead and do an expo and bring our citizens in and the business owners in, it would take a lot off of our government and put more of the responsibility in the business owners and our community in general. So I'm going to push for that the first week of April.
Great.
That's it.
Well, that's very important, so keep pushing for that, anything that we can do to become more aware and when it comes to emergencies. And tomorrow, when we do the statewide drill, our hope is that everybody will participate as if it's the real thing. So when you hear the sirens, and you know that it's just a drill, and if you think, oh, I hear the sirens, okay, and you don't do anything, then that could be what you would do when you really hear them and it's real. So I hope that you practice that drill because, of course, we had our tornado at night, which is completely different than having our drill at 10 in the morning. So we hope that everybody will think of their families and then thinking about having at least 3 days of food and water on hand, having a communications plan with your family. What if your cell phones don't work? Planning for the disasters at work. When was the last time you looked at your insurance policy? Do you have the necessary redundancies in place if it was a flood, tornado, earthquake, fire, those kind of things? So you can have the plan, but what good is the plan if we don't practice it? So, and I do want to read an interesting quote that I got from Chief Schofield, and he says, we were talking about training. It says, we don't rise to the level of our expectations, we fall to the level of our training. And that is by a Greek philosopher that I can't pronounce the name, but it does make sense that we've just got to keep our training going. And I have two websites that you can check, stormaware.mo.gov and ready.gov for best practices, and then please practice those.
Ready.gov has a lot of information on it. Absolutely.
Great. So we hope that people will be ready and aware. And does council have any questions or comments? we're all thinking of what we'll do tomorrow when we hear the sirens, and practice like it's the real deal.
I did bring cards. I didn't have cards whenever I got introduced to you guys the first time, so I'm going to run through and hand them out if you don't mind.
We would love that.
Okay.
Thank you. And while you're up here, we'll get a picture with council. We're going to do one more picture, and we'll bring up public safety personnel that are here, police and fire, public works, and all of our actually all of our city staff, because when we do have an emergency, it affects finance, HR, legal, Sunny's department, public works, planning and protective services. So every department is affected when we have a disaster. So we're going to do a picture, we're going to get it out, we're going to remind everybody how serious it is and how we are going to practice our disaster plans.
Gail, you want me to take the picture so you can be in top? No, you won't bring it. You did a whole lot last year. Don't tell me you didn't.
I need you guys in.
Hey, could you take this picture so Garrett
Can you gotta keep squeezing. You guys gotta pretend like you like each other.
Hank's going to take it so you can get in there. Yeah. The whole city team.
Yeah, Gail, you did a lot of work last year.
Okay, took several.
Thank you, Hank. Thank you, everybody. All right, so keep in mind, tomorrow, 10 a.m., March 3rd, statewide tornado drill. We will all be prepared. And then Chief Turner is going to give us an announcement on open burning.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. One reminder is that open burning ended yesterday at dark, so burning season will once again start this November 1st at sunrise, and that is the actual burning season is when it is allowed. March is the last day of burning.
Okay, thank you for that update. And my last announcement, last night was the annual dinner for Historic City of Jefferson. We had 2 council members in attendance, Councilwoman Ward and Councilman Mihalovich were there. It was a great event. For any listeners or any council members that are not already a member of HCJ, it's only $25 a year. They do a lot of great work, and so I would encourage anyone to join if they're not already a member. And Mr. Kroll joined the organization. Your name was in the newsletter as a new member, so thank you for supporting that organization. And they also have their salvage shop that will be opening where people can get different salvage pieces from historic properties and utilize them for repurposing. So they do a lot of great work in town, in addition to purchasing one of the Housing Authority's properties on Jackson and helping with a lot of other great historic efforts. All right, item 9, is there any update on behalf of Lincoln University? Okay. And item 10, presentations from the gallery. We have, let's see, on any specific bills. I don't see anyone signed up for specific bills tonight. Item 10, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 12, bills introduced, 2019-104.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri authorizing a supplemental appropriation to the Jefferson City Police Department, amending the 2019-2020 annual budget and authorizing the expenditure of such funds.
Chief Schrader.
Thank you. Apologize for a little redundancy, but this bill would authorize a supplemental appropriation of $15,000 to our current general operating budget. The origin of the funds would be from our drug forfeiture justice account, and they would be credited, that money would be credited to our drug forfeiture justice line item. We're actually, for the purchase of 6 SWAT vest carriers, we're actually purchasing 18. The remaining 12 would be purchased with our sales tax G funds. It would have to be competitively bid, so we don't know the exact amount, but we're comfortable that what is requested is sufficient to cover the purchase of those SWAT vest carriers. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Chief. 2019-105.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri authorizing a supplemental appropriation to the Jefferson City Police Department, amending the 2019-2020 annual budget and authorizing the expenditure of such funds.
Lieutenant Chad Stieferman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. This supplemental appropriation is for us to purchase some weather sealing dog kennel flap doors for the Jeff City Animal Shelter. Right now, the guillotine doors that we have out there allow draft to come through them, so all outdoor conditions make their way into the living areas where the dogs are currently housed. So if it's hot outside, those areas are always consistently warm, and if it's cold outside, they're cold. And if it's raining and there's a lot of humidity, then it aids to the humidity problems that we are having down at the animal shelter. So by the installation of these doors on the outdoor flaps, it does several things for us. It insulates the living areas for the dogs to make sure that the living areas for them are more climate controlled, providing better living conditions for them. On nicer days, when the dogs can be outside, it'll allow for them free roam to go from inside to outside while still keeping the animal shelter climate controlled. By climate controlling that, it also allows us to reduce the stress on our HVAC system that's down there, because currently it runs nonstop. If the temperature outside is drastic one way or the other, it's always trying to cool the area or heat the area. So we'll get reduced stress on the HVAC system down there. And this is also kind of leading into part of our mold remediation project we're working on down there to control the climate inside the building and lower the humidity.
Great. Any questions? Okay, thank you for that report.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. 2019-106.
An ordinance regarding the city's procedures for conducting criminal background checks for potential city employees.
Mrs. Stroh?
Thank you. So the city currently does a background check through the Missouri State Highway Patrol for all new employees who are hired into a full-time or a part-time with benefits position. What we'd like to do is start to broaden that and do a check through the FBI, which will give us a national check. It's an additional $13.25 per check. It will also, by doing this, allow us to get immediate results, and will also notify us if anybody that we have tested in the previous 6 years does get added to the FBI list. So the reason that we're bringing this forward with an ordinance is because the FBI does require the city council's request or approval on this.
Okay, any questions? All right, thank you. 2019-107.
An ordinance amending the Personnel Policy Manual, Article 13, Sick Leave, Section 13-2, when taken.
Mrs. Stroh?
Thank you. So this amends the Personnel Policy Manual in regards to our sick leave policy. And what it does is it removes the limit on the number of days an employee can use sick leave to care for an immediate family member. And then it also allows for some exceptions to the definition of immediate family member.
Any questions? Councilman Graham?
Was it defined in here in this ordinance what constitutes a immediate family member? I didn't see that in here, so.
So immediate family member is actually defined in the Personnel Policy Manual, and the actual sick leave policy itself states that the sick leave can be used for an immediate family member living in the home or a parent, even if they do not reside at home. So what this would do would be allow in special circumstances the city administrator to allow somebody other than one of those individuals. So it could be if somebody maybe was raised by an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent or something like that, or maybe they have a sister who doesn't have any other family members to care for them. This would allow the city administrator in those special circumstances to authorize the use of the sick leave.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. 2019-108.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri approving a preliminary PUD plan for property located at 3520 West Edgewood Drive.
Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a standard ordinance that would approve the Jefferson City Medical Group's surgical center located off of 3520 West Edgewood. The property is currently already zoned planned unit development, as is the property to the east and the west. To the north is a single-family housing. To the northeast is commercial office. And to the south is a combination of C2, residential attached, and other commercial property. The lot is 6.9 acres. On the lot is going to be a 28,000 square foot surgical center with possible expansion of another 3,800 square feet. There is the required amount of parking, 145 spaces, and they have the space to add the other required parking if they do carry through the expansion. The property has, it's a large piece of property, so all the setbacks are met or exceeded quite a bit. On the south, along Edgewood, a sidewalk is required, and a 5-foot sidewalk is part of the plan. Along Harper's Ferry to the east, a sidewalk is not required and is not planned. They also plan to do the proper landscaping on the parking lot, which will cover 35% of the area. There's also currently no details on the lighting and signage, but it will follow the commercial office requirements, which are stricter than C1 and C2. A traffic study is not needed because these centers actually stagger the time that the patients and the staff come into work, starting early in the morning, so a traffic study is not required. The building is, can't really see it that well, but it is very impressive, made of, or to be made of natural stone, precast stone, some other masonry and wood, quite aesthetically pleasing. We were able to see a 3D animation at the Planning and Zoning Commission. We were really impressed with how it's going to look. Also of importance is, since it is a large lot, on the north side of the property, you can see where there's a man-made bluff, if not you call it a rock cut. There's already an existing buffer yard there between the houses, and this is from 5 years ago, and they intend to keep that there. And then also they're planning either a in-ground detention pond for the stormwater, or an underground chamber, and it will run off into the culvert. And this is coming from the Planning and Zoning Commission with a recommendation to approve. Fiscal impact are $840 for the fees the city received. And there's a public hearing on March 16th. Everybody's invited to be in this chambers right here, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay. 2019-109.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri approving the incorporation of the Jefferson City Redevelopment Corporation and designating the city's proxy for purposes of representing the city's ownership of all ownership holdings in the Jefferson City Redevelopment Corporation.
Mr. Mullman.
Thank you. This bill would authorize the establishment of a redevelopment corporation, or Chapter 353 of the Missouri State Statutes. Chapter 353 corporations are used to provide real estate tax abatement for properties that have been declared blighted. City staff believes that this is an important tool that fills a gap in projects that can utilize tax abatement to incentivize their development. Somewhere in between the LCRA program, which provides tax abatement on real estate property for 10 years, and TIF, which allows both capture of sales tax and abatement of tax property taxes on property for 25 years. This kind of fits a middle where you're not capturing sales tax, and so that there is a lower bar to hurdle to implement a 353 properties tax abatement program. So generally the way these would work is that once the corporation is established, people would apply for tax abatement, which is approved by the City Council. The prerequisites before that approval is a blight study, a cost-benefit analysis showing how it would impact the taxing districts whose property taxes are being abated, and then a redevelopment plan that shows the plan of development that is being done in exchange for the real estate property tax. Typically, 353 corporations have been used in the past by private developers to secure tax abatement. There is a movement in Missouri for communities like Jefferson City to establish their own 353 corporation and having many projects then run through a single 353 corporation as opposed to having multiple 353 corporations established in the city, and each one taking the time and cost of establishment before invoking on a program of redevelopment. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions. And I do note that, excuse me, that funds to get the 353 program were appropriated in the current year budget at a level of $15,000. So this was already the funds that are being used to establish the 353 corporation, and we're using the services of Lowry Municipal Law, have already been appropriated in this year's budget.
Any questions? Councilman Hensley?
Thank you. Just a couple questions. So this is an application-based process?
Generally, it is. There are... The great thing about Chapter 353 is that it's very flexible, and so that's kind of the traditional use, is that it would be application-based, and so essentially people would come to the city with an idea for redevelopment and then ask for the city to consider. And then oftentimes there's something like an initial funding agreement or something like that that would ensure that the city's not wasting their time in pursuing this. And so those are often helpful projects, and probably the most typical way that we'll see these. 353s can also be used for blight clearance, where you have a troubled property, and this can be a tool to offer to the city. So it's not so much application-based, but the city reaching out to a troubled property owner and seeing if that property owner can get the property out of trouble by using tax abatement as one of the tools to do so. So it can kind of work either way, where someone is coming to the city seeking tax abatement, or the city can be reaching out to someone to see if tax abatement is a tool that can be used to help problems on a property.
So in the second scenario, if the owner of the troubled property didn't voluntarily accept that assistance, is there involuntary blight declaration under this program?
There can be, and so that is up to the city council to determine on a case-by-case basis. There is a grant of the power of eminent domain under 353, but that would have to be made on a case-by-case basis by the city council.
So that would come to the full city council?
It would come to the full city council.
Not through the proxy declared in this?
No, that's absolutely correct. So state law changed back in 2008, which required all actions for eminent domain under these types of programs to be specifically approved by the city council. So every single action for eminent domain has to be signed off by the entire city council.
But the primary use that we're looking at for this purpose is for the group that's being established here to administer the tax abatements?
Correct. Okay. Correct. Essentially, the legal framework of effectuating the tax abatement is kind of the main thing that the 353 corporation does. And so, but it is an independent corporation that has to have a board of directors, and so this is what that does.
Great. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay. Item 13, bills pending 2019-102.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a $171,748 agreement with Hageman for the replaced bar screen at RWRF project.
Mr. Morash?
Thank you. As the clerk indicated, the contract with Hageman would replace the bar screen at the wastewater plant, just under $172,000. It's replacing a 2002 piece of equipment. If you were to look at it, it looks similar to like maybe a conveyor belt you might think of when you look at it, but it takes stuff out of the waste stream that can't run through our treatment process, and this contractor gets good reviews. They do a lot of work for MSD in St. Louis. You have to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or council discussion? Roll call, please.
Fitzwater. Graham.
Aye.
Hensley.
Aye.
Hussey. Kimna.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Wiseman.
Aye.
Bill passes. 2019-103.
Amending the 2019-2020 budget by reclassifying one Neighborhood Services Manager position to a Neighborhood Services Supervisor and one Property and Housing Inspector 1/2 to a Property and Housing Supervisor within the Department of Planning and Protective Services.
Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As the clerk said, this would change the classification for a Neighborhood Services Manager. In doing so, we would be taking the Property and Housing Inspection component of it and spin it off as its own division within Planning and Protective Services. That would be a downgrade from a grade 20 to an 18 to a Neighborhood Services Supervisor. We would also take a Property, Housing, and Inspector position, which is a 16 or 14, depending on if it's a 1 or 2, and create a Property and Housing Inspector Supervisor that would be running that division. This is how it was prior to about 4 years ago, and that is what we believe would be best for the department and the city as a whole. Be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Graham.
Aye.
Hensley.
Aye.
Hussey. Kimna.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber. Ward. Wiseman. Fitzwater.
Bill passes. Item 14, nothing on the informal. Item 15, resolutions 2019-19.
A resolution authorizing the City of Jefferson to apply for the FAA Non-Primary Entitlement Fund Grant.
Mr. Marash?
Thank you. As clerk indicated, this is a grant application to the FAA to help us replace or repair our apron at the airport. It's a 90-10 grant, so the federal share would be just over $567,000. City share out of the half-cent sales tax is $63,000, and be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Second.
Any further council discussion? Roll call, please.
Hensley.
Aye.
Hussey. Kimna.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber. Ward. Wiseman. Fitzwater. Graham.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution 2019-20.
A resolution authorizing the City of Jefferson to apply for the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program grant.
Mr. Marash?
Thank you. As clerk indicated, another grant application. This is through SEMA, being administered by SEMA, and it would replace a large culvert on Norris Drive that's failing. Has caused some flooding in the past of adjoining properties, and this is a 75-25 grant. The total cost of the grant that we could apply for is up to $243,750, so that would require about a little over $81,000 match from the stormwater funds of the half-cent capital improvement sales tax. You have to answer any questions.
Any questions? Motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any further council discussion? Roll call, please.
Hussey. Kimna.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber. Ward. Wiseman. Fitzwater. Graham.
Aye.
Hensley.
Aye.
Resolution passes. 2019-21.
A resolution authorizing the City of Jefferson to apply for the FY 2019 Firefighters Assistant Grant.
Chief Turner?
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. This grant is our FEMA Fire Service grant that we apply for annually. This grant will go towards operational equipment. It is a total of $66,000, and the grant is a 90-10 grant application process.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Kimna.
Aye.
Mahalovich. Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber. Ward. Wiseman. Fitzwater. Graham.
Aye.
Hensley.
Aye.
Hussey.
Resolution passes. 2019-22.
A resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute a lien release agreement with Superior Home Improvement, LLC.
Mr. Mallman?
Thank you. So I'm going to be covering 2019-22 through 26 with this summary. So these are lien release agreements that have been through the Planning and Public Works Committee, and essentially what these agreements do is they are entered into with several property owners in the South Side neighborhood. And so what the lien and release agreements do, it releases temporarily special tax bills and abandoned building registry fees for a period of 3 years, essentially. and it seeks to have the properties that are the subject of the lien release agreements to clean up the properties, do particular types of work on the properties, and then the property owners also pledge to pay all property taxes for this period, and then not allow the properties to become a nuisance during the period. And so at the end of the period, and I believe these agreements have it set out at January 1st, 2024, at the end of that period, the city would then permanently release those special tax bills against the property. And so what the intent of the program to do is to get responsible property owners to acquire property that is troubled and is burdened by special tax bills, and allow those property owners to, rather than spend money to pay back the special tax bills, but to rather reinvest that money back into the property and bring the properties back to a livable condition, and either maybe owner occupied or more likely to be turned into rental housing. And so the exchange is essentially the release of special tax bills in exchange for a commitment to put the building back to a useful purpose and entering back onto back into the housing market. And so on the properties, each of the properties have disputed abandoned building registry fees of $13.50, and then the property at 1120 East Dunklin Street also has a special tax bill for $1,575. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I also believe that Mr. Matt Holland with Superior Home Improvement and also with the Community Development Corporation is here, and I'm sure he would be able to answer any questions that the council has on some of the plans that at least his company has for some of the properties here. But also I'd be happy to answer any questions on the agreements themselves.
Great. Thank you for being here as well. And does council have any questions? Okay, well, we will start by taking up Resolution 2019-22. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber. Ward.
Aye.
Wiseman.
Aye.
Fitzwater. Graham.
Aye.
Hensley.
Aye.
Hussey. Kimna.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution 2019-23.
A resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a lien release agreement with the Superior Home Improvement LLC.
And we've already had the description. Anything to add?
No, not unless there's any questions.
Okay, any questions? We have a motion
Second.
and second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber. Ward.
Aye.
Wiseman.
Aye.
Fitzwater. Graham.
Aye.
Hensley.
Aye.
Hussey. Kimna.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution 2019-24.
A resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a lien release agreement with John and Shirley Bolin.
Any questions?
Motion approved.
Okay.
Second.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Wiseman.
Aye.
Fitzwater. Graham.
Aye.
Hensley.
Aye.
Hussey. Kimna.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Resolution passes. 2019-25.
A resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a lien release agreement with Dustin Long.
Move.
We have a motion and second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ward.
Aye.
Wiseman.
Aye.
Fitzwater. Graham.
Aye.
Hensley.
Aye.
Hussey. Kimna.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Resolution passes. 2019-26.
A resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a lien release agreement with Superior Home Improvement LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Wiseman.
Aye.
Fitzwater. Graham.
Aye.
Hensley.
Aye.
Hussey. Kimna.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Resolution passes, and we appreciate those that are taking on these properties. Item 16, presentations from the gallery on other topics. Mr. Leonard Steinman is signed up this evening, and you have 3 minutes. Welcome. Okay.
Ernest Diamond, 2217 West Edgewood, Jefferson City, Missouri. Not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday is one of the most crucial, important days of your life. If you don't vote, you're an idiot. It's gotten to a point that we don't know if we're communist or not communist anymore in the United States. We spent 2 years, $7.9 million to try getting rid of a president of the United States. Yes, I am running for office, but don't count me as a vote, please. I don't ask for votes. I don't take nobody's money. There's a reason why I run, and it's to keep people straight. If you go vote, think about what you're voting for, not the party. The party has gotten so indignant. They think they own this United States, and we need to get rid of the two-party system, period. Thomas Jefferson, the man sitting up there on that wall, said the two-party system will kill us, and it is. It's killing us. It's almost caused another civil war. It was that close in the last 2 months. So please vote. Thank you for your thoughts of the country, and think about what you're voting for.
Thank you. Item 17, council and staff discussions of presentation topics. Item 18, any new business, and 19, unfinished business. So we will adjourn, and then we will come back in here for closed session. But before we adjourn, I noticed there are a few more scouts that I didn't get a chance to introduce in the beginning. Yeah, I think there's a few more in the back. Would you all like to come forward and introduce yourself and what school you're from? You're welcome to come on up. So you can tell us what project you're working on. So you're welcome to come to the podium, and welcome. Glad to have you all here.
Hi, my name is Braden Voss. I go to Capital City High School, and for my Eagle Scout project, I am building some picnic tables for the Binder Park Ropes course, and I'm also spreading mulch.
Great.
My name is Colin Voss. I am a freshman going to Capital City High School, and I am working on my citizenship in the community merit badge.
Great. Well, we're glad to have all of you here, and so do we need well, I guess we should do a 5-minute break so that the room could clear out, but are we going across the hall for closed session?
We can stay in here, and we also need a motion to adjourn.
Okay. So we're going to adjourn, but what I might mention is, since all the scouts are still here, if they want to come forward, and we'll do a picture with council for the scouts. Usually the scouts have to leave before our meetings are over. So I'll offer that if all the scouts in the room want to come forward. So on that note, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Is there some type of presentation that we're receiving on the overhead? If not, I would prefer that council goes across the hall and let the people who are here continue to sit in here without having to go and stand in the hallway.
Does that sound good? Okay.
Yes,
we're adjourning.
Yeah, so we will not be returning back to open session.
All right.
So is it here or there now?
So it
is the council's pleasure.
Okay, we stay here then.
We'll stay here.
Yeah.
Okay. So motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're adjourned, but if the scouts would like to come forward, and if council wants to come